Hey guys, it's the Great Apostate, coming back at you from his van. I'm on my way to my next job. I've been pretty seriously worried about this whole, viral issue, this whole illness, and I think we all have. Not many people took it lightly. I certainly didn't. I was very well prepared for it, and still am, and very concerned. And that said, as time has gone on, I've come to view this as less a health issue and more as a control issue. We started off with flatten the curve. Then it was we can't afford a second outbreak, and now it's wait until there's a cure. And I don't trust that, because there'll never be a cure. Because why would these people give their power back? Why would they give this amount of control back to the citizenry? I don't see them ever wanting to do that. And the only thing that's going to do it is the people themselves. That got me thinking about a few things. Now, as I said, I haven't really thought about the Jehovah's Witness stuff in a long time. I'm sorry, the sun is just beautiful here, but it's wrecking this camera. It's not as good a lens. It's a cheaper camera because I broke my good, Who iPhone. Anyway, so that got me thinking. I remember when I was younger, I read a science fiction book. If any of you guys like sci-fi, this book was called The Legacy of Heorot. And they made 3 of these books. I forget what the other ones, The Dragons of Heorot or something like that. And the idea was really simple. It was about it was a sci-fi book, and it was, a bit out there. But the idea was simple. The idea was that human beings have come to this planet, and the planet's beautiful, and they're on an island. They've decided to settle on an island off the mainland, and, just to sort of get themselves a bit of safety. And everything's great for them, and they're busy. There's fish to eat, and everything's awesome. And unfortunately, what they don't realize is that there's a very delicate ecosystem on this planet, or certainly on this island. And what it is that the fish aren't really fish at all, but they're the young versions, the tadpoles, if you like, of these monsters, right? And when they eat all their food, then the monsters come out. They call them Grendels, like from the story of Beowulf. So the Grendels came out, and they just laid waste to people, and they didn't realize it, and they were like, oh boy, this is a problem. And then they didn't realize that because then that they'd killed all the Grendels eventually, that then all the tadpoles, which the Grendels ate, were growing up to become mini Grendels. So it was a bit like Alien. The first Alien was this scary alien, and then the second Alien, they were all they were all a bit smaller, but just as scary. And that was the book, and I loved the book. It was a brilliant one. There's a particular scene in it where they had brought these embryonic calves, and the embryonic calves were dancing around their field after having been, born, however they did that, sci-fi. And in this scene, the calves realize there's something coming out of the water, and it's a Grendel. And the calves, the writer has this sort of an internal dialogue among the baby cows, and they're all running around going, what can we do? Search for mama, search for dad, search for him, right? Where's the bull? Because the bull can protect us. And of course the bull doesn't protect them, because the bull's not there, because they didn't bring a bull. He would have been too big. So they brought the calves, and of course the calves get decimated because the Grendel's big. The Grendel doesn't have a bull to stop him. Although, ironically, the bull probably couldn't have stopped a Grendel, because these suckers are tough. And then that got me thinking about the world and about the environment that we sort of have nowadays. And I look around now, and that really got me, because while I was making my last video, I saw a field of cows, and they had their new calves on them. So the mummies were out there for a while, and they're out there with their calves, and the calves are just chilling out. And I couldn't help it, because, you gotta love those babies. And I went out, and I went to try get one to come over so I could give it a pat. And of course they were terrified, because cows will be terrified, so will little baby sheep. And they ran to their mummies and hid behind their mummies' legs and looked out at me. And ironically, they're probably big enough at that point to kill me, but they just don't realize it. And that's fine. But they were looking for their protector. And ideally, they'd probably be looking for the bull, who would have been watching carefully going, I will kill you, buddy, if you go near them cows. And that got me thinking about the world we have around us, and how the governments treat us. And I fully believe now that the governments think of us as their cattle. And that makes it all the more obvious what they're trying to do as they break up marriages, as they encourage single parents. Because without the bull in the house, it's much easier to just get the mum to go along. It's just much easier to get the mum to just go, the state says this is good for my son, whatever. And it's much easier to indoctrinate and inculcate a son and make him weak when there's not a dad in the house. And this is what the society has done. Society has done everything it can to make splitting up easier. It sounds like a sermon, but it's not really a religious point I'm making. It's simply the point that it's almost like they're fattening up society to make it so controllable and malleable. And they're doing this by making weak men who are prepared to leave their families in the first place, but also to make women and teach women that, hey, you can do it on your own. Sisters are doing it on their own. You don't need men. When realistically, of course you do. You know, I mean, I'm the scare figure in my family, God help me. So I come home, Linda's been teaching the kids. They'd be getting rude to her and not doing what they're told. And I lay into them and shout. I don't lay into them, I shout. And without the flouncy hand gestures. And they're scared and they do what they're told. And that's how it's supposed to be. But society now is saying, hey, no, you don't need to do that. Don't worry about it. We've got better systems in place now. And anyway, we're these illustrious technocrats. We know how to run your life. You don't need to think for yourselves. Stay indoors. Flatten the curve. We can't afford a second outbreak. Wait for a cure. It's all going to happen, don't worry. In the meantime, your kids are going to be our experiments. Don't worry, they're not going to suffer lifelong psychological damage from being made to play in a 2-meter box like they're doing in France when they go back to school and not have any contact with other children. It's not going to harm anybody. Don't worry about the suicides and the murders. Don't worry about the spousal abuse. Both men against women and women against men. But it's fine. We're smarter than you. It's all going to be fine. Don't worry. You don't need the bull. You don't need him at all. I don't know. Seems a bit creepy to me, guys. Thanks very much for watching the Great Apostate. You have a great day. Bye-bye.